Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Lakers got the victory, shot down the Hawks 130 to 121, and I'm extremely pleased, man. Happy birthday to LeBron James, and he put the emphasis on happy because boy, did he go out there and score a bunch. He had 47, 9, and 10, just one assist shy of a triple double. And he was really, really good. Them 47, it felt like he had even more than 47 points, to be honest with you. He was just spectacular offensively for the Los Angeles Lakers all night long. You got to give a lot of credit to a lot of guys as well. Russell Westbrook, who just had a really phenomenal basketball game as well, even though he turned the ball over 6 times and we didn't love. He was just slashing to the basket, doing all that you want to see him do. I think he walked out of there with like 14 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds. I think he came out of there with like 3 steals as well. So he was really, really on point tonight. And then you got to talk about Thomas Bryant, who's just killing it on the offensive side and on the glass. 17 rebounds. I believe he had 19 points, 1 block, 1 steal, 1 assist. I think he might have missed maybe 1 shot or something like that. This dude is balling hard for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know what is going on, but he is doing all the best stuff on the offensive end. On the defensive end, still the same stuff, but we don't judge Dirk for not being a defensive player, and we ain't gonna judge TB for not being a defensive player. Some guys just don't play defense. Trae Young don't really play defense, right? And we just got to get it in our minds. Just because a guy's tall and should be able to play defense based on his body does not mean that his game is going to necessarily translate to that. But if you let him be himself, he can be super efficient on the offensive end and really, really effective on the glass, which can give you some defenses like stuff. You know, glass. If you kill it on the glass and don't necessarily play defense, you still secured possession somehow. So I like what I saw, man. Our team had 74 points in the paint. Just continue to barrage that squad. Obviously, when you're talking about LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, we were just striking too fast, striking way too fast for them. It seemed like Russell Westbrook was just his pace, the way that he attacked specifically. They just had no answer every time they were behind him. And I think that's really where the value of Russell Westbrook is starting to really sink in as well. As I say, he puts pressure on the rim and continues to attack the basket. It's not just that he attacks the basket. It's that he's very durable, so you can count on him attacking the basket every single night. He's a guy that you can count on to play 79, 78 games a season. And with that being the case, when he's not fumbling and bumbling and having any confidence issues, what he's doing for you off the bench is essentially giving you the same stuff that he was giving other teams in starting situations. Pretty much a triple-double off the bench, and he's starting to find his niche to do that. His confidence is there. He's finishing so much better. His lift is there. He looks comfortable, man. He looks like a comfortable basketball player in a role that fits him just fine. I just wish the winning would start coming around a little more often for our team so we can start seeing him get that 6th Man of the Year award that he's obviously in the runnings for right now. So if we can crawl our way into a play-in tournament spot and he continues playing the way that he's playing, he's deserving. He's deserving, simply put. Efficiency was the name of the game for the Lakers, man. We shot pretty well tonight. I got to give us credit. Above 50% from the from the field. I think it was 56% from the field. And 16 threes, I think, hit tonight on 32 shots attempted, something like that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. The numbers aren't really coming together, but we shot well on this road trip as a whole. Just really like what I saw there as a team. This was one of my favorite Dennis Schroeder games, to be honest with you. And it wasn't because he did so much throughout the meat and potatoes of the game, but down the stretch of the game, he did good things on both sides of the floor. Getting stops, you know, believe it or not, just putting himself in position to be in the right place at the right time, passing up 3-point shots, hitting clutch buckets in the corner. Even though the 3-point shot wasn't falling in the corner, he was well in position to be in position to take that shot and be a threat. I just thought he played really good. He's played well throughout. I think what's been lost is the fact that he's been in rotation lineups that have not been so successful as a whole. But the individual player himself, he's been really good for a couple weeks now. And tonight I thought that he helped us on both sides of the floor. And I don't usually get to say that. I usually say he helps us on the offensive side, but not so much defensive. I thought he did some things down the stretch of that game on the other side that really made me say, okay, I'm happy with that. Troy Brown did some things, got away from a little bit, but ultimately I thought it was okay because getting away from him and having Juan to go to helps. You know what I mean? We're not lacking size so much now that we can kind of go to Juan Toscano Anderson, who's really played well these last 2 games. Tonight he was no exception. Just really filled in, gave us assists, rebounds, a very nice high plus minus, just making the right play, creating, good passing, possessions for our team based on what he's creating out there. As I said in the halftime video, I want him to get used to creating more scoring opportunities for himself. If you're in the paint, we don't need you passing out of the paint to 3-point shooters. We're not a good 3-point shooting team, and I know it used to be in Golden State. But that's just not what we need. We need guys, the power forward position, to use their size to get scoring buckets and effectively close out possessions for us. Because once we create those 3-point shots, they're not better possessions for us based on our percentage of shooting the 3. So that's something that we just need to get better at as we continue to work him into our equation. So yeah, going to him, going to TB, going to Brown, and then Winion gives us a healthy dose of size at all times. So some of those issues we saw with Patrick Beverly and Dennis Schroeder, or some of the small ball lineups, it doesn't have to be, because now you got Juan back. So it's much more of a rebounding situation. We were able to really beat the Hawks on the glass tonight, which I thought was really, really impressive, given the fact that Onyeka Okongwu is rebounding like a madman. But unfortunately for them, he's kind of the only guy down there rebounding. Him and Collins are the rebounders, and they were a little thin without their regular rotation of centers down there, with Clint being out, so Capella, that is. So I thought we were able to take advantage of the fact that they couldn't rebound as well, and really, really pushed it. With TB getting 17 boards, Russell Westbrook also pitching in with 8, Bron getting in there with 10. Those are the type of reboundings efforts that we need in a game like this, when they have some key rebounders that they can go to. So I thought the Lakers did a really good job of keeping the scoring high each and every quarter. We had a 39-point second quarter, and this proceeded to score no less than 30 in each quarter after that. So you got to give the Lakers credit. And as we said, the Hawks aren't the greatest defensive team. They got good defensive players here and there and can get some steals, which they did. But ultimately, they're not that great of a defensive team as a whole. And I thought we were able to really take advantage of them on the inside without Clint down there. You got to give credit to those young players that they got on that other team, though. That Hawks team, as I said in the halftime video, they got some players that I'd love to acquire. Jalen Johnson, a young player who did some fantastic things. I've been talking about him for 2 years, never get his name right, but always call him JJ. Well, JJ's starting to really get in rotation, and he showed what he can do on both sides of the floor. He's got to work on his free throw shooting and stuff like that, but the reps will come for a young player. He's got upside, and real upside at that. And then you look at another guy like A.J. Griffin, who just came in and immediately was an impact player for them, hit a bunch of shots. Somebody who's shown clutch ability, consistency, and just somebody ultimately as a rookie that I think is a very high-level rookie already. I don't know if his ceiling is star or nothing like that, but what I see is consistency, absolute and utter consistency. So he's going to be somebody to look for going forward for the Hawks. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, those guys are stars. They didn't have their greatest game, either one of them. Trae Young was a little banged up. Inefficiency issues for both of those players throughout the meat and potatoes of the game. But just like superstars do, they find a way to make their numbers respectable. So DeJounte Murray hit a couple shots down the stretch of the game to make his numbers look better than they actually were throughout the course of the game. He struggled mightily. It was a weird shooting game for their team, because the guys who were hitting the key buckets were also the guys shooting them out of the game. That's exactly what happened there. A guy like Bogdan Bogdanovic, he hit some key threes earlier in the game, and during the moments when the Lakers were trying to make runs, when we were kind of struggling in the first half, he was the guy that was basically hitting the key buckets, sort of like Duncan Robinson in the last game. Every time we were trying to get just a little closer, he would hit a bucket to keep us out of it. We were able to push through in this game past him, and unfortunately not past Duncan Robinson in the Heat. But I think what ultimately went wrong is they got out of rhythm with who they were going to. Bogey was hot, and then they had a situation where they had Trae Young go down, so it left him an opportunity to shoot a little more. And then Trae Young came back, and it kind of threw the rotation off. So that's what I saw. It's just Atlanta Hawks team who has everything rotating around a guy like Trae Young, but whose team actually plays better when he's not out there. So what you saw was them start the game with him. They played kind of okay. They removed him from the game. Other guys started getting their shots. They put him back out there, and then it started getting a little murky again. His inefficiency issues started working against him, and then DeJounte Murray's inefficiency issues started working against him, and then Bogdanovich ended up going 3 for 12 from behind the arc. So you just saw their shooting issues and their rebounding issues just ultimately work in our hands, and I think that's why we were ultimately able to come back into this game after being down by a nice little handful in the first half. They got off to a quick start. I think they had got up by as much as, probably 12 or something like that, and we're really pushing hard at the end of that first quarter and toward the second quarter. But like I said, once the second quarter hit, we started really turning on the afterburners, and their lack of defense just ultimately allowed us to score and rebound and do what we need to do in the paint. So that's what there was to see as far as I could tell. I mean, they really did have some solid players, you know, single performances here and there, but as a team defensively, they just could not rebound and couldn't defend. And they didn't turn the ball over as much. We turned the ball over much more than they did. I think we walked out of like 15 or 16 turnovers. And I believe they only had like 5 as a team. But, again, the Lakers securing boards. You got to give Thomas Bryant, Bron, and everybody, Westbrook, so much credit for ultimately just attacking that glass. Patrick Beverley, I love what I saw from him tonight. His good shooting continued. He's doing more to affect scoring and making it so that plays just don't disappear when he's down there. You know, that's what it really happens a lot of times is we get him the ball and he just becomes so much of a black hole to where the ball just gets stuck with him. The defense usually gets to clamp in on him, and it's usually, you know, just lost. But he's been finding ways to strike early. Guys have been finding him in positions to get shots off, and his three is falling. So I'm really happy with him. And as long as he continues to be efficient for us, you couple that with more size that we're able to bring with Juan coming in, it's just making it for a better overall team. Our team is just better. Even though we didn't have basically our guard rotation intact tonight. You know, luckily DSPB and Westbrook were playing so well because we didn't have Lonnie out there. I don't know if he was. I really don't know. I had no understanding of what actually pulled him from the game, other than the fact that he had just been struggling, so the coach didn't want to use him. But I didn't see him down there, so I don't know what happened. But we did not have him tonight. And then, for whatever reason, they decided to not use Max Christie tonight as well. They sent him back down to the G League, I guess. I don't know. He wasn't down there either. So it was like, okay, we're down both of those players. This was the absolute worst time, in my humble opinion, on paper, to send Max Christie away. Because obviously you got the struggles of both Lonnie Walker and Austin Reeves taking place at this particular moment, with both of them having horrible road trips. The last thing you need to do is send Max away. But that's exactly what our franchise did. So I thought that was a little confusing, but luckily enough, the other guards played really, really well in this game. So it made up for all of that. But yeah, Austin Reeves, my God, man. This was by far his worst basketball game in his career, y'all. This was the worst basketball game of Austin Reeves' career. And I said it yesterday, and as bad as he's been playing, I said the ankle has been messing with him. And he was really inept on this road trip. In Miami, he looked awful. He couldn't get nothing going. In this game, it was just like he was aggressive. And it made for an even worse situation. You know, one of the things we talk about with Austin Reeves is that we pride on him being one of the smartest players on our team. But tonight, he looked flustered. He looked discombobulated. He looked like he would like some sleep. I don't know if he went drinking with the buddies celebrating Bron's birthday. I don't know what's going on with Austin. But he looked like a bag of bones out there. And he played like a half of himself. His brain just wasn't with us tonight. I think he hit one bucket and attempted maybe like 12 3-point shots, something like that. He was completely outside of himself. And he turned the ball over a bunch of times, fouled a bunch of times, accounted for 1 assist. You know, this is why I said, I think, you know, with him and Lonnie, I said they both probably needed to just rest their injuries. We arrested Lonnie, but we didn't think it's wise enough to rest Austin. Instead, we started Austin at the 3, not at the 1 or the 2 like I always say we should, off of a game where he had a horrible basketball game against the Heat and a horrible basketball game previously before that and against Dallas. And then you're going to lean on him or was it Charlotte, whoever we played. And then coach is going to lean on him in this game out of position. And he goes 1 for 12 from behind the arc. 1 for 15, I think, in total. It's like we've been asking you to start Austin Reaves all year long. And the one time you start him, he played this bad. So it's like I wonder if he's never going to start him again, or if it's going to be something where Austin is not a 3. I don't think that's why we had trouble with him. I think his struggles are just coming just because. But I don't think he's a 3 for what it's worth. Yeah, that I don't have any bail for him. Some of those 3-point shots were just bad, and I don't have any good words about those. They're awful. I think what I can say though is I'm glad it happened in the way that it did, because there was a sequence out there where LeBron James had to look at Austin Reaves and tell him to stop shooting threes, and I said, aha. Aha, like that's the moment. That's when you realize, Bron, that's what we've been trying to tell you. When you go 0 for 7 like you did in whatever that game was, I think it was Miami, that's the vibe that we feel. You felt that vibe when you were sitting there looking at Austin Reaves jacking up 3-point shots, and he kept breaking them. And all season long, earlier in the season when we were having our issues, we kept on saying, Bron, you're driving us crazy shooting those threes, and he just was letting them fly, let him fly, let him fly. And I'm like, man, he needs somebody to do this to him so that he can see how it truly feels on the other end of it. And he got that tonight. He got it tonight. Because that boy was shooting the ball and wouldn't stop, and it was almost costing us the basketball game. Luckily enough, my team won. But it wasn't because Austin was out there balling. I'll tell you right now, I don't know what this means for him going forward. I'm not moving him out of the lineup or anything weird like that. But I'm going to need him to get some sleep. That's the first thing. He's going to need to get some sleep. He's got to get a good meal. You know what I'm saying? Burn some sage or something, because he is not himself. He is a bag of bones out there, and I know his game. I know he's a young player, but his head is somewhere else. It ain't just the ankle. His head is somewhere else. He was making bad decisions. He stepped slow, turning the ball over like crazy, shooting bad shots, just all kinds of uncharacteristic stuff. And at the end of the day, all I need Austin Reaves to do when he's not hitting shots is look for others. Because you are blessed with the ability to make plays for others. You're blessed with the ability to pass. So if the shot ain't falling and the ankle's hurting, you can't dunk the ball, you can't rebound, do all that other stuff, there's still ways to get scoring effectively done for your basketball team, because you have that ability. Make plays. Be the point guard from the small forward position that you can be, instead of trying to turn into Kyle Korver. Bro, we don't need you to be Kyle Korver. See, this is the thing. And I'm going to tell everybody the truth. Austin Reaves is shooting the ball really well this year, but that is not a natural strength of this player. In fact, it's actually a weakness. He's just having a good year. So what I'm saying is I want him to keep shooting with confidence and let it fly, but please do not think that we want you to turn in to Jeff Hornacek. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessary, bro. All I need you to do is be yourself. If the shot is there and you can hit it, let it fly. But this attempting 12 threes, I'll never need you to hit 12 threes, Austin. Never. I never need to see Austin Reaves go 12 for 12 from behind the arc. It doesn't have to happen. Even if he's hot, I don't need him attempting 12 threes. You feel me? Like, I don't ever need that, bro. I need you to put that ball in other people's hands and make those assists. Make them assist. Because at the end of the day, your 3-point shot is open because people don't necessarily know if you're going to take it. If you start shooting it at volume like this, you're going to start bricking it more and more, just like the team does as a whole. And then that mystique of people jumping at you when you shoot the 3 and you being able to take them off the dribble and then bouncing off, that's going to go away from you, bro. They're going to know you can't shoot from here on out, and they're going to leave you back there, and it's going to be on you to hit it instead of having that threat that you've been having all season long with these people thinking you Kyle Korver. They think you're Kyle because the efficiency's high. So shoot the ones you can hit and never let tonight happen again. It'll mess up your entire offensive flow. They will guard you differently. I promise you this. It's all about efficiency for us, man. We got to keep the guys of him being the greatest shooter ever in people's minds so we can take them off the dribble. They be jumping like pogo sticks when he pump fakes, man. And this is something that comes his way because he rarely misses. And why does he rarely miss? Because he doesn't take shots that he cannot hit. He completely undid a lot of that tonight, and I hope nobody was watching. Anyway, that's what I got to say about that. These are things that guys like Austin Reaves, when you're intelligent like Austin, you got to know not to let nights like tonight happen, man. Never let that happen, bro. Never. Because you got the whole league by storm. They think you a 50% three-point shooter, bro. And what you do tonight, bring those percentages back down to par. Give them all kinds of video footage of you bricking left and right. Now they're going to be like, okay, leave him out there. Make you prove it again. They didn't make you prove it. That was the beauty of your circumstance. You were in a position where they thought you could shoot because they didn't know any better. They were typecasting you, stereotyping you, or what have you. This is why I want Austin to just continue to keep his head about him, man. And we need to use him in proper positions so we can keep that threat available to us, man. We want them guys bouncing like pogo sticks every single time he pump fakes. Just like we had in the first half of this season, man. I'm telling you. Because the thing about him is he's not the fastest guy in the world. So if you take that away and they start staying down and he has to beat people off the dribble, his game is going to tighten up on him. It's going to get different. So that's important. Three-point shooting efficiency, a beyond volume, especially for a player like that. So that's what I got to say about that particular thing. We got to set people up, man. You got to think long term. It's an 82-game schedule and people are studying you. So you got to make sure you know that when you're doing things out there. Let's see. That's pretty much where my head is, man. I think that the Atlanta Hawks, you know, they really miss the size of a guy like Clint Capella. They just don't have anyone that can stop anybody in the paint. You know what I mean? And Collins, they got to hurry and trade Collins, man. This is something else I want to say about the Hawks. The value of the players that they got, like, I don't know. I've been thinking about this all night, so I don't want to give them 2 picks for these 2 players, but this is the type of thing that kind of is the acceptable value of things, so to speak, as it pertains to what I think I can make better. Okay, that's how I'm looking at it. Not to say that what I'm giving away is something I'd be willing to give away, but I think if I bring these players to me, I have a better role for them than Atlanta has for them. Bogdan Bogdanovic and John Collins. Now, their contracts, in my mind, are probably not very good. These are not players I'm just looking to slot into our situation or nothing like that. But I'm looking at players that, if I'm any team in the league right now, I'm looking at the Atlanta Hawks and I'm saying, if I have a scoring position for a power forward, I can double John Collins' value. From where he's playing, the way he's playing today, I can double that if I bring him to my situation. Because I know if I feed him the ball offensively and I get him enough reps every night, he's going to turn into a 30-point scorer. He can get. We've seen that. We've seen it all career long with this guy. It's just that when you put Trae Young in the mix, it takes away shots from him. And then you put DeJounte Murray in the mix, it takes away shots from him as well. And then everybody around him, including Bogey, has to shoot too. So it's like he's the guy left out. His percentages, though, show you that he's still the same guy. He can score 5 or 8. You know what I'm saying? So if you give him 16 shots, he's probably going to still keep those percentages high, just like he always has. So John Collins is a guy, like, if I'm any team that could use a power forward that can give me 25 points on a good on average night and like 35 points on a good night, John Collins somebody needs to go get for the cheap, because the Hawks can't display him the way most teams will be able to based on the circumstances he's in. Bogey, same way. Any team that can give a guy 10 to 12 shots, any team that needs three-point shooting, us, we definitely need that guy. Why? Because he's the guy who can do all the things that we need him to do all night long. It's just that the Hawks don't need him to do that, so he gets out of rhythm against us in a game like this, where he's clearly he can go off for 40 tonight if they would have just kept feeding him consistently. You know what I'm saying? If they would have fed him the way they were feeding him in the first quarter, his efficiency would have been up because he wouldn't have been going in and out of that rhythm. So him going 3 for 12, if he would have put on a Laker jersey tonight, it probably would have been 6 or 12 or something like that. Just given our needs and the consistency would have been able to feed him. So, yeah, those are two players who value I know for a fact we could raise. Not to say that their contracts are any good, though. So these are the type of things I'm looking at, man. If I got to give away my picks, you know what I'm saying? If I'm giving away 2 first-round picks, I want the value that I'm sending out to have that type of thing to it, that type of thing to where I know I can double it when I get it here. You know what I'm saying? If our pieces, if we're not in position to make the guys that we're bringing here look better because they're here, then we don't need to bring them here, because we've brought a lot of people here and they've looked worse because they're here. You feel me? We need to do the opposite. And these are the type of players I think we can do that with. Duncan Robinson's another one. Even though his contract is hell, if he were just attached to a contract we could like, we could take him from Miami and give him a role twice as big as the one he has there. Twice as big, maybe even 3 times as big, to be honest, given the circumstances. You know what I'm saying? So this is what Rob Pelinka or the GM that's going to be GM in the Lakers, whoever is going to be, this is how they're going to have to try to build out of this thing if the Lakers don't get the greatest return if they blow it up. You got to find players that you know, because they're coming to what it is that you have in mind, you can give them bigger roles in the situations that they're in right now. So, yeah, brainstorming that, man. I like Atlanta. I like Atlanta a lot. And you look at Jalen, you look at Okongwu, you know, you look at Collins. These are players. It's like you give me a handful of them and I'll be happy to part with my picks, because I can turn them into the equivalent of what those picks are going to be worth. That's a team. I've been thinking about it a lot today. The Hawks are probably one of the more favorable teams to me to be giving my 2 picks to. If I got to give them to anybody, I'm thinking them. They got enough stuff both for both the timeline I'd want to keep with AD and Bron and the timeline that I think I can move on from. They have like a sweet medium there with Collins and Johnson and some of those pieces. Not to say that they'd be willing to give me all that I want, but as I sit here dreaming, that's what I want. Somewhere in between what Atlanta has and what Charlotte has and what Indy has. You give me a good combination of 3 teams, young, so-and-so upside players, we can do something with those dudes. We can do something with those dudes. I'm telling you. We don't need to look for the home run. Somewhere in there is the home run, and it's for the cheap. So that's how I want my team to be thinking, man. Not afraid of building properly because they have this big, huge, bright light Laker thing that they're afraid everybody's going to come here and suck. I don't think like that. No. You bring this fan base a homegrown, talented group of players, and we're going to love them to death just like we loved the last group. And this time, this group will be better. It will be a better group. You feel me? And that's how I'm looking at it. We will make it better. We don't have our picks, but we can find ways to get other people's picks and turn them into talented stuff. You just got to mix and match and do it properly and have a good enough imagination to do it. And there are a lot of GMs out there who do. We just got to bring them to us. So that's where my head is, man. It's a good win. Happy that the Lakers got a victory. Bron was able to turn 38 and be a winner on that day. Get 47 points, almost a triple-double. His mom and his wife on hand in the front row. I thought that was a great thing. I never seen him in no Laker games, man. I ain't never seen his mom and his wife in the front row in no Laker games, Jeannie. That's telling to me. I don't know what the hell it said, but it says something. Don't think it don't say nothing. It says something. We better read it. At any rate, I just want the Lakers to consider the benefits of firing people before making any major moves. And I've been giving that some thought, just like I've been thinking about the Atlanta pieces. It might be best to think that way in regards to how best to move forward with this franchise. For obvious reasons that have been recapped all day long in different videos, I encourage you to go check out. I don't want to recap the same stuff. But this win did not take away from my understanding that here we are, another game, Anthony Davis in street clothes. He got the number 3 around his chain because he can't wear it on his chest, fam. I am very pleased that we have such a phenomenal basketball player on our team. But if we can't have him playing, and he's going to constantly be in street clothes, bro, that does nothing for what we are trying to accomplish as a franchise. He knows that. Jeannie knows that. Every fan knows that. Bron knows that. And at some point in time, it's not about the disappointment of letting go of people and making them sad about having to let them go. At some point in time, even those people understand that you should have pulled the trigger that would have broken their hearts and ultimately let them go, because it's what you have to do. And the fact that you haven't done that, they may be happy you haven't done that, but they're kind of looking at you crazy, because if they were in your position, they know they would have to do that. And that's an angle that I don't want anyone to lose sight of. Even the people in place who are happily positioned in a position where they are know what it looks like when things are done correctly. And they can tell when you don't have many options. You think Anthony Davis don't realize that the Lakers don't have many options? We don't have many options. And so I'm not saying that Anthony Davis is anticipating being traded. I don't think that at all. But I'm saying if Anthony Davis owned this basketball club and he had to figure out what he was looking at in regards to players not being able to play and his money being on the line, I'm pretty sure he would make organizational decisions that remedy the problems just like every other responsible owner. So that's what it comes down to. You got to part ways with people. You got to say thank you to people. You got to start planning out what you want to do. And if it's about LeBron James, then you got to seriously assess how to bring him what you need to make him excellent every single season. That does not seem feasible to me based on what it is we're dealing with. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.